Most people grow up believing that love must come from the outside. We're taught to please others, to win their approval, to mold ourselves into something acceptable. From a young age, we learn how to fit in, how to be liked, how to be chosen. But in that process, we lose the most important connection of all, the connection with ourselves. You are told to love your family, your friends, your partner, even strangers. But no one ever teaches you the power of loving yourself. And so you search. You look for that feeling in other people. You look for it in praise, in relationships and achievements. You become addicted to the chase. But what you're really searching for has been inside you all along. You are the source of everything. Your happiness, your peace, your strength, they all begin with how you treat yourself. If you can't look in the mirror and feel proud of who you are, nothing on the outside will ever be enough. You will keep chasing love that doesn't last. You will keep hoping someone will finally see your worth, not realizing that it was always your job to see it first. This is not selfishness. It's survival. It's power. When you truly love yourself, you stop needing to beg for attention. You stop settling for less than you deserve. You stop letting others define your value. Self-love is not just a feeling, it's a decision. It's choosing to value your time, your energy, your dreams. It's waking up every day and reminding yourself that you matter. It's refusing to stay in places where your heart is ignored. It's saying no to people who drain you. It's protecting your peace like your life depends on it, because it does. You cannot become your highest self while living in fear of being alone. You cannot grow while constantly seeking permission from others to feel good about yourself. The truth is, the more you love yourself, the less you need anything from anyone. You become complete. You become whole. And that's when everything changes. When you love yourself deeply, you stop needing validation. You stop trying to earn your worth. You stop apologizing for who you are. You stop shrinking to fit into small spaces made for smaller versions of you. You begin to walk with confidence, not because someone told you you're great, but because you finally believe it yourself. You begin to speak with power, not to impress, but because you know your voice matters. You begin to choose peace over chaos, solitude over fake company, growth over comfort. Everything begins to shift when you shift the way you see yourself. But this shift doesn't happen by accident. It happens the moment you decide that your relationship with yourself will be your first priority. It happens when you stop blaming others for your emptiness and take full responsibility for your healing. It happens when you stop waiting to be chosen and finally choose yourself. And once that choice is made, there's no going back. Because when you taste the strength that comes from real self-respect, the world can no longer manipulate you. When you feel the peace that comes from loving who you are, nothing external can steal it. You become untouchable. You become magnetic. You become someone who no longer chases but attracts. Because love, real love, begins with you. That voice inside your head that whispers doubts, criticizes your every move, and questions your worth, it was never truly yours. It was built by repetition, by the opinions of others, by the pain you didn't ask for but still carried. Over time, it became so familiar that you started mistaking it for truth. But it is not the truth. It's a program. A set of beliefs installed through experiences that never reflected your real value. If you want to learn to love yourself, you must confront that voice. You must reprogram it, because as long as you let it run unchecked, it will sabotage every attempt you make to grow. Every time you try to rise, it will pull you back with the same lies. You're not enough. You don't deserve this. Who do you think you are? But you are not that voice. You are the one who hears it, and that means you have the power to change it. It begins with awareness. The moment you become aware of that inner critic, you take the first step toward freedom. You start to realize that not every thought you think is true. You start to question the script. You start to ask, where did this come from? Maybe it was a careless comment from someone you trusted. Maybe it was a failure that made you feel worthless. Maybe it was years of being ignored, dismissed, overlooked. But just because it's familiar doesn't mean it's right. You don't have to keep repeating it. You can challenge it. You can replace it. You can speak something new. Tell yourself what you wish someone had told you years ago. Say it out loud, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Say, I am enough. I am learning. I am powerful. I deserve love, peace, and success. Your mind may resist it at first. That's normal. But the same way the old voice was built, the new one can be too, through repetition, emotion, and belief. Speak to yourself with the same compassion you give to others. Be your own encourager. Be your own healer. Be the voice that lifts you instead of the one that limits you. This is not about pretending. It's about replacing lies with truth. It's about shifting from self-judgment to self-acceptance. Because when the voice inside you becomes kind, strong, and supportive, you stop needing that approval from anyone else. You stop seeking in others what you already provide for yourself. The more you reprogram your inner world, the more your outer world will begin to align. Love, success, and peace won't feel out of reach anymore. They'll feel like your natural state, because you will no longer be fighting yourself. You'll be rising with yourself. You don't need to apologize for being who you are, not now, not ever. Yet so many people walk through life feeling like a burden. They shrink their personalities, silence their thoughts, and dim their light just to make others comfortable. They tiptoe around their truth, worried that being fully seen might lead to rejection. But the truth is, the moment you start apologizing for your existence, you give others permission to do the same. You teach them that your presence is negotiable, that your needs don't matter, that your voice doesn't deserve to be heard. And that lie becomes a prison you carry everywhere you go. But the truth, the unshakable, liberating truth, is that you do not need to explain or justify your being. You were born with worth. You were born with the right to take up space. You are here for a reason, and that reason was never meant to be silenced. When you constantly seek approval, you begin to edit yourself. You water down your thoughts, your personality, your passions. You give just enough to be accepted, but never enough to be fully known. And that, over time, becomes a form of self-abandonment. You start living for others, not for yourself. You show people only the parts of you that feel safe, that won't offend, that won't stand out too much. But here's the problem. If you have to become someone else to be loved, then that love isn't real. It's based on a mask. And every time you wear that mask, you lose a piece of who you truly are. Loving yourself means standing in your truth, even when it makes others uncomfortable. It means holding your ground without guilt. It means choosing honesty over approval. And yes, it will scare some people. Yes, some may walk away. But let them. Because the ones who can't handle your fullness were never meant to stay. You don't need to shrink to be accepted. You need to expand to become who you were always meant to be. This life is too short to spend it apologizing for your spirit, your dreams, your fire. Own them, embrace them, let them breathe. When you stop apologizing for existing, something shifts. Your energy changes. Your back straightens, your voice becomes clear. You start walking into rooms like you belong, because you do. You stop explaining your worth and start living it. You stop asking for permission to be you. And in doing so, you give others the courage to do the same. Your self-love becomes a light, not the kind that begs to be seen, but the kind that cannot be ignored. And the world begins to respond differently, not because you changed who you are, but because you finally gave yourself the right to fully be. There comes a point in your journey when you must stop explaining your boundaries and start enforcing them. Without boundaries, self-love is only a concept. It never becomes real. You can say you value yourself, but if you allow people to disrespect your time, invade your energy, or manipulate your emotions, you're not living in alignment with that value. Boundaries are not about building walls. They're not about pushing people away. They're about protecting your peace, your energy, your sanity. And if someone gets offended because you're finally choosing yourself, that's a sign they were benefiting from your lack of boundaries in the first place. You don't owe anyone access to you just because they want it. You don't have to say yes to everything. You don't have to stay in relationships where you're only loved for what you provide, not for who you are. When you set a boundary, you're not being rude, selfish, or cold. You are being clear. You are saying, I know what I deserve and I won't accept less. That is strength, that is maturity, that is love in action. It may not feel easy at first, especially if you've spent years being the one who always gives, always compromises, always says yes. But growth begins where comfort ends. And learning to say no without guilt is one of the highest forms of personal freedom. Some people will test your boundaries. They'll try to make you feel guilty. They'll accuse you of changing. And you know what? They're right. You are changing. You're no longer living for their comfort. You're choosing your mental, emotional, and spiritual health. And if they can't respect that, they don't belong in your space. Let them go. Protecting your peace isn't mean it's necessary. Your time is sacred. Your energy is valuable. The more you love yourself, the more selective you become with who you allow into your inner world. Every time you honor your boundaries, you send a message to your subconscious mind, I matter. I am worthy. I am not here to be used. I am here to thrive. That message will echo in every area of your life. You'll notice it in how you speak, how you walk, how you carry yourself. You'll no longer tolerate what once broke you. You'll no longer entertain what once drained you. You'll stop explaining your standards and start embodying them. And as you do, your life will begin to reflect the self-respect you've been cultivating within. Because when you truly love yourself, you stop allowing anything that contradicts that love to stay. One of the most destructive habits a person can develop is comparison. It's subtle at first. You look at someone else's success, their appearance, their lifestyle, and without realizing it, you begin to measure yourself against them. You start to feel behind, like you're not doing enough, like you're not enough. But here's the truth. Comparison is a thief. It steals your peace. It blinds you to your own progress. It distracts you from your own purpose. You were not born to copy someone else's journey. You were born to walk your own with courage, with clarity, and with pride. No two people on this planet have the same timeline, the same gifts, the same inner battles. So why do we act like life is a race where everyone starts at the same point? The world may try to pressure you to meet certain milestones by a certain age, but those rules were made by people just as lost as you once were. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not lacking. You are unfolding in exactly the way you were meant to. Just because someone else's path looks cleaner or faster doesn't mean it's better. Some people bloom in the sunlight. Others bloom in the dark. What matters is that you bloom. When you compare yourself constantly, you begin to hate the very parts of you that make you unique. You ignore your strengths. You overlook your growth. You undervalue your own voice. That's how comparison works. It doesn't just make you feel small. It convinces you that you'll never be enough. But loving yourself means looking in the mirror and choosing to see what's good. It means being aware of your flaws, but refusing to let them define you. It means celebrating your progress, even if it's slow, because progress is still progress. And growth is not always loud or obvious. Sometimes it's silent. Sometimes it's painful, but it's always worth it. You are not meant to be anyone else. You are not meant to live someone else's story. The moment you let go of comparison is the moment you take your power back. Your life is not supposed to look like anyone else's. It's supposed to look like yours. And when you finally stop looking sideways and start looking within, you'll realize you've had everything you needed all along. The only race you're in is the one between who you are and who you're becoming. And the only person you ever need to compete with is the one you were yesterday. There is a deep and dangerous trap that many fall into without even noticing it. The endless craving for approval. It starts small, a compliment here, a nod of acceptance there. But over time it becomes a need, a hunger, a dependency. You begin to shape your identity around how others see you. You start saying what they want to hear, doing what they want to see, becoming what they want you to be. And slowly your own voice gets drowned out. You no longer live for yourself. You live for their reactions. But here's the truth you must face. If you ever want to love yourself fully, needing constant approval will destroy your freedom. Because as long as you depend on others to validate you, you are their prisoner. Approval is unstable. It shifts with moods, with opinions, with trends. One moment they praise you. The next, they criticize you. And if your worth is built on their words, you'll rise and fall with every change. You'll become exhausted from trying to please everyone. And worse, you'll forget who you are. True self-love demands that you detach your value from public opinion. It means standing strong in your identity even when no one claps. It means being okay with being misunderstood, disliked, or even judged. Because your peace is not for sale. Your truth does not require permission. This is not about arrogance. It's about ownership. It's about no longer outsourcing your confidence to people who don't even understand your journey. When you stop living for approval, you reclaim your power. You stop asking, do they like me, and start asking, do I respect myself? That question changes everything. Because you can't control how people see you, but you can control how you see yourself. And when your inner approval becomes louder than the outside noise, You become unstoppable. It's okay if not everyone understands you. It's okay if some people walk away. Let them. Those who truly see your light will never ask you to dim it. And those who demand your silence were never meant to hear your voice. You do not need to bend to be loved. You do not need to perform to be accepted. You only need to be real, be honest, be whole. The more you focus on your own approval, the more aligned your life becomes. You attract peace, you attract truth. You attract people who value you for who you are, not for what you pretend to be. That is the power of letting go of external validation. That is the beginning of true self-respect. The most important conversation you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. Every day, from the moment you open your eyes to the moment you fall asleep, your mind is speaking. It's whispering thoughts, shaping beliefs, fueling emotions. And what many people don't realize is that those thoughts are building their identity. If the voice inside your head is full of fear, doubt, and criticism, then no matter how much success you achieve or how much love you receive, it will never feel like enough. Because the inner dialogue always wins. It becomes the lens through which you see the world. And if you want to love yourself, you must take control of that internal conversation. Most people walk through life repeating the same broken phrases to themselves. I'm not good enough. I'll never make it. Something is wrong with me. These thoughts don't come out of nowhere. They are inherited, learned, absorbed from painful moments. But just because they've lived in your mind doesn't mean they belong there. You can't keep feeding yourself poison and expect to thrive. At some point, you must interrupt the pattern. You must decide that the voice inside your head will no longer be your enemy. It will become your ally. This is where the transformation begins. When you catch those destructive thoughts, challenge them. Replace them. Speak to yourself with the same love you would give a hurting child. Be gentle but firm. Be honest but empowering. Tell yourself the truth, not the fear. Say things like, I am learning, I am growing, I deserve to heal, I am doing better than I think. Say them even when you don't fully believe them yet. Why? Because belief is built by repetition. The same way your mind was trained to criticize, it can be trained to support. You cannot rise above the voice that tears you down. But once that voice starts to shift, once it becomes encouraging, focused, and strong, you'll begin to feel a different kind of power. Not the kind that needs attention, but the kind that radiates from deep within. The kind of power that doesn't shout, but stands tall. When your inner voice becomes your greatest supporter, your external world transforms. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop settling for less. You move with quiet confidence, because love isn't just what you show others. It's what you feed yourself every single day, through thought, through words, through belief. And when you master the inner conversation, you master your life. If you truly love yourself, you must prove it, not just through words, but through action. And the greatest action you can take is to invest in your own becoming. Far too many people wait for someone else to believe in them, to give them permission, to offer them opportunities. But the truth is, you don't need anyone to rescue you. You don't need anyone to open the door. You are the door. You are the breakthrough you've been waiting for. The moment you realize that no one is coming to save you is the moment you become unstoppable. Because that's when you finally take responsibility for your life. And when you do, everything begins to change. Start where you are. Start with what you have. You don't need the perfect plan, the perfect timing, or the perfect resources. You just need a commitment to yourself, a decision to grow no matter what. Read the books, take the courses, reflect on your habits, heal from the past, practice discipline, challenge your comfort zone. Growth is not something you stumble into, it's something you choose. And every time you choose to rise instead of settle, you are declaring your worth. You are telling the world, and more importantly yourself, that you believe in your potential. Self-love is not indulgence, it's not laziness, it's not waiting for life to get easier. Self-love is work. It's waking up and doing what needs to be done even when motivation is low. It's holding yourself accountable. It's being honest about your weaknesses, but refusing to let them define you. It's understanding that your future depends on what you do today. And if you truly care about yourself, you'll stop procrastinating on your growth. Or you'll stop putting your dreams on the shelf. You'll stop treating your goals like they're optional. Because they're not. They are sacred. They are yours. Every moment you spend improving yourself is an act of love. Every small step forward, every lesson learned, every time you refuse to quit, it's all evidence that you're showing up for yourself. And that matters. Because the world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you're prepared for. And preparation is proof of love. So invest in yourself like your life depends on it, because it does. You are the foundation upon which everything else is built. And when that foundation is strong, nothing can shake you. The better you become, the better your life becomes. Not overnight, not without effort, but always without a doubt. You are worth every ounce of that effort. Loving yourself means choosing your standards over your comfort again and again. It means standing firm when the easy option whispers in your ear. It means refusing to settle for less just because it's good enough. Growth is uncomfortable, but staying the same is painful. Real self-respect is forged in the fire of discipline. You can say you want change, you can dream of a better life, but if you continue choosing comfort over commitment, you'll never rise. The world will tempt you to lower your standards at every turn, to make compromises, to take shortcuts, to betray your values, just to feel better for a moment. But temporary comfort will cost you long-term peace, and no amount of momentary relief is worth trading your future. The path of true self-love isn't soft, it's sharp. It demands that you walk away from habits that numb your potential. It demands that you say no to people who pull you backward. It demands that you let go of anything that weakens your discipline, distracts your focus, or corrupts your purpose. That's hard. It's supposed to be. Because nothing great is built in comfort. You don't build a powerful life by doing what's easy. You build it by doing what's necessary, even when it hurts. That's where your strength is born. That's where your character is formed. That's where your identity is forged. Every time you uphold a standard, you send a message to your subconscious mind. I am serious about my life. I am no longer available for mediocrity. I no longer entertain things that drain me, break me, or slow me down. I am rising. That message begins to shape how you think, how you speak, how you act. You start waking up earlier. You start showing up with intention. You stop tolerating what you used to accept. And suddenly your life starts to align with your values, not your fears. But the test will always come. Life will always offer you the easy way out. It will say, just this once. It will say, you've done enough. It will say, relax, take it easy. But you must look at those moments for what they are, not breaks, but crossroads, not temptations, but tests. And if you love yourself, you will choose the path that respects your highest self, not the one that comforts your weakest self. You'll stop betraying your future for the pleasure of now, because nothing tastes sweeter than living in alignment with your own truth. That's when your soul breathes. That's when your spirit expands. That's when you stop surviving and start soaring. Settling is the silent assassin of dreams. It creeps in quietly, disguised as practicality or realism, whispering that what you want is too much or too impossible. Settling convinces you that you should accept less because it's easier, because it's safer, because it spares you the pain of rejection or failure. But settling is a slow death to the soul. When you settle in your relationships, your work, or your habits, you give up on the very thing that makes life worth living, growth. You trade your passion for convenience. You sacrifice your dreams for comfort. And in doing so, you shrink away from your full potential. True self-love demands that you refuse to settle. It demands that you hold the line, no matter how tempting it is to give in. When you love yourself, you know your worth is not negotiable. You understand that you deserve more, not just sometimes, but always. You recognize that settling doesn't protect you from pain. It only delays the inevitable heartbreak that comes from living a life half-lived. Your soul craves more, your heart beats for something greater, and the only way to honor that is to refuse anything less than what ignites your spirit. Waiting is not weakness, it is strength. It is the courage to stand firm while the world rushes past you. It is the faith to believe that what you want is worth the wait, worth the work, worth the patience. When you refuse to settle, you send a message to the universe, I will not accept anything that doesn't serve my highest good. That message aligns your energy with your deepest desires and opens doors you never imagined. It attracts people, opportunities, and circumstances that match your true value. You become a magnet for what you deserve because you refuse to accept anything less. Remember, you are not here to merely survive life. You are here to shine through it. to live fully, fiercely, and unapologetically. You are here to create a legacy of courage, strength, and authenticity. And none of that can happen if you settle. Loving yourself means setting a standard so high that only the best can reach it. It means walking away from anything that dims your light or dulls your fire. It means believing in yourself enough to wait, to work, and to fight for a life that feels like freedom. Because in that refusal to settle, you become the person you were always meant to be, whole, powerful, and stoppable. True self-love demands honesty, not just the kind of honesty you show to others, but the brutal, courageous honesty you owe yourself. It means looking at the parts of your soul you've hidden away, those wounds, fears, and regrets you've stuffed deep inside and hoped would disappear. But pain doesn't vanish by hiding, it festers. The moments you avoid facing your past or your mistakes are the moments that hold you captive. Healing begins when you stop running and start confronting what you've been avoiding. It's painful, it's uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Because you cannot build a strong foundation on broken pieces that remain ignored. Healing is not about perfection. It's about wholeness. It's about reclaiming the parts of yourself you lost or rejected along the way. It's about forgiving yourself for the times you stumbled, for the times you didn't know better, for the times you chose survival over growth. It's about embracing your scars as proof of your strength, not as marks of failure. When you love yourself deeply, you stop hiding your pain behind masks of perfection or denial. You stop pretending that everything is fine when it's not. Instead, you face your wounds with compassion and courage, and in doing so, you begin to heal. This healing process is not a straight line. Some days will feel like progress, and others will feel like setbacks. But every step, no matter how small, is a victory. Every moment you choose to look inward instead of away, you strengthen your relationship with yourself. You learn to trust your own heart again. You remind yourself that you are more than your past. You are more than your mistakes. You are whole. Loving yourself means giving yourself permission to heal fully, to grow fully, to become whole fully. It means not settling for a life half-lived, hiding half-healed. Remember, the parts you try to hide from the world are often the parts you need to love the most. They are the keys to your transformation. When you face your pain, you take away its power. When you embrace your brokenness, you turn it into beauty. When you choose healing over hiding, you become unshakable. This is the deepest form of self-love, choosing to become whole even when it hurts. Because true love is never about ignoring the shadows. It's about shining light on them until they disappear. You teach the world how to treat you through the way you treat yourself first. It's an unspoken language that every person around you understands on a subconscious level. When you tolerate disrespect, dismiss your own needs, or accept less than you deserve, you send a signal that your worth is negotiable. And the world listens. People respond not to what you say, but to what you allow. If you allow toxic behavior, neglect, or lack of care, others will continue to offer exactly that. But when you hold yourself with honor, when you protect your boundaries, and when you refuse to accept anything that undermines your dignity, the world has no choice but to follow your example. It's easy to blame others for how they treat us, but the deeper truth is that we are responsible for what we tolerate. This isn't about blame, it's about power. Power to change your circumstances starts with changing what you accept. If you want respect, you must first respect yourself. If you want kindness, you must first be kind to yourself. If you want love, you must first love yourself fully and without conditions. When you raise your standards internally, you raise the quality of everything around you. Your relationships, your work, your environment, they all improve because you refuse to settle for anything less than what reflects your true worth. This principle is not about controlling others. It's about controlling your own energy. You cannot force people to treat you well, but you can choose not to engage with those who don't. You can walk away from situations that drain you. You can protect your peace fiercely and consistently, and by doing this, you create a ripple effect. People learn from your example. They start to respect you more because you respect yourself. They start to show up differently because you showed up differently first. You become a standard, a force, a beacon. The world responds not to your demands, but to the energy you carry. So understand this deeply. The way you treat yourself is the blueprint for how the world treats you. When you stop settling for less than you deserve internally, externally everything changes. When you teach yourself respect, the world follows. When you show up for yourself with love, the world learns to show up for you the same way. This is the power of self-love. It's the foundation of every healthy relationship you will ever have. It's the starting point for every success you will ever claim. Because the most important message you can send to the world is the one you send to yourself first. Loving yourself is not a mere luxury or fleeting emotion. It is a revolution that begins deep within your soul. It is the quiet, relentless war that changes everything without anyone else even noticing at first. This revolution shakes the foundations of your fears, your doubts, your old stories that have kept you small and stuck. When you decide to love yourself more than anyone else, you choose freedom over fear, courage over comfort, and truth over illusion. You no longer wait for permission to be happy, successful, or worthy. You claim it fiercely and unapologetically. This inner revolution rewires your mind, transforms your energy, and sets you on a path that nothing and no one can stop. When you love yourself above all else, you become untouchable. Not because you are perfect or immune to hardship, but because your strength no longer depends on external circumstances. You become a force of nature that rises regardless of the storms around you. No criticism, rejection, or failure can shake the foundation of love you have built inside. This love is a fortress, unyielding, unwavering, and infinite. It fuels your resilience and lights your way when the path ahead looks dark. It whispers to you every day, you are enough, you are worthy, you are whole. And those words are not just comfort, they are power. This power changes everything. It changes how you see yourself, how you allow others to treat you, and how you show up in the world. You stop living in scarcity and step into abundance. You stop chasing what you lack and start appreciating what you already have. You no longer measure your worth by fleeting moments or external praise. Instead, you measure it by the depth of your self-respect, your commitment to growth, and your courage to keep going when it's hardest. The more you love yourself, the less you need from anyone else, because you are already complete. The greatest secret that the world often hides is that all the love, all the acceptance, all the peace you seek is inside you first. It is the foundation for everything you desire. So begin this revolution today. Choose yourself. Choose love. Choose the fierce, unbreakable commitment to honor your worth above all else. And watch as your life transforms in ways you never thought possible. Because when you learn to love yourself more than anyone else, you become the architect of your destiny, the master of your fate, and the author of your own incredible story.